Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Two-Man Game. As always, I'm Cone. This is Ryan. We are your hosts, and today we're each going to be drafting a team of 15 NBA teams to try and predict the NBA season. This is our preview of the year. We're doing this, and then next week we're going to do an Eastern or Western Conference standings prediction. We're going to do the other conference the week after that, and then it'll be the NBA season. We're going to go ahead and start that week off with our full NBA predictions with awards, our NBA champions, everything in between. So this is kind of kicking off prediction month, I guess you could say. I was going to say prediction week, but it's over the course of 3 weeks, so it doesn't make sense. But here we are. Ryan, how you doing? How you feeling? We have basketball this week with the preseason.
Dude, I'm pretty stoked. We have footballs in full swing. MLB playoffs have just started. Connor and I are big New York Yankees fans, so we're really excited, hoping that they actually don't choke this year. Our biggest rivals in the playoffs, the Astros, just got eliminated, so we're looking good.
That's huge.
I know, very huge. Even though the Astros weren't as good this year, they always have the Yankees number, so we pray. But other than that, I finished my applications for physical therapy school, so I'm really excited to hear back from those.
Drop a congrats, Ryan, in the comments, please.
Future Dr. Ryan here, hopefully. But yeah, man, I'm ready to rank some NBA teams, kind of like what Connor was saying. We're just going to draft them, and we're going to draft based on wins. So if you watch our playoff wins video, it's basically the same exact thing. I feel like we should come up with a couple extra things too, Connor. Maybe we'll do like you get an extra, so like if they could become the top seed, you know what I mean? Maybe like an extra 8 points, second seed 7 points, so on and so forth. I think that could be a little fun extra thing we add too, maybe.
Yeah, we can add something along to that. Maybe we could do like if you pick the NBA champion, you get like 10 points or something like that.
We'll come up with some stuff as the season progresses. But right now we're basically trying to choose which team we think is going to win the most games. So if a team wins 10 games, you get 10 points. So you might not necessarily you could pick the people that always do good in the regular season but don't do good in the playoffs. We're just strictly doing regular season wins, and then we'll probably do another playoff wins draft when that gets closer. But before we get started, we're getting really close to 1,000 subscribers. That was our goal before the NBA season. I think we're closing on 800. So if you want to subscribe, you like our videos, or even if you just feel bad for us and you want to throw us a sub because it doesn't cost you anything, and just you get to see our annoying faces up on your screen. You don't even got to click on the videos, man. You can just see us pop up. Whatever works. But we're trying to get to 1,000 before the NBA season starts. So we'd really appreciate it if you guys hit that sub button to help us out. And we are going to do an NBA jersey, NBA jersey. We haven't really decided. We're going to do some kind of NBA player merch giveaway when we hit 1,000. So if you want to be a part of that, you got to make sure you're subbed, because if you're not seeing our videos and you're not subbed, you're not getting anything. So
that's true. Yep. So go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, comment down below if you want a chance at that. And also just to help us out. Y'all did a great job, by the way. Ryan, at the end of last podcast, told you to comment something that was just not at all true about the video, and y'all killed it with that. Y'all had some amazing comments.
You should do it. Do it again. Why not?
Yeah, do it again.
Why did Connor pick the Hornets first? They stink or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, be like, why were the Celtics the last pick in this draft? Something like that to go ahead and get people interested, to up the engagement, because y'all killed it with that, by the way. We had
a good time reading them too. Connor and I were texting each other on the side about the comments. We were having a great time, so it definitely helps keep us entertained.
I was a little skeptical about how well it was going to do, how much y'all were going to really buy into it. We were very impressed. I remember when it first started happening, I was like, did something mess up with the upload, or did I accidentally put Wemby in F tier? Because someone was like, how'd you put Wemby below this player? I'm like, I swear we did it. And then I realized what was happening. So you even bamboozled me, who was in the podcast. So we appreciate it.
Well, you did kind of bamboozle yourself because you forgot 6 centers. But in your defense, tier maker was glitching. We weren't even going to record that night, and then it fixed right before we stared recording.
Yeah,
so
I think
I'll give tier maker the L there. I won't give it to you.
Yeah, sometimes tier maker likes to, when you make tier lists, just delete players randomly. Hopefully this is all 30 NBA teams. I didn't count. Yes, it is. Okay. So we are good on that front.
When people comment, why'd you forget the Thunder?
Yeah, that's going to be heartbreaking. Don't worry, I got them right here. But speaking of that, let's go and do the draft. So the way this is going to work is we're going to do a snake draft. So say I get the first pick, it's me, and then Ryan picks 2 teams, and then I'll pick 2 teams, and we'll just go back and forth like that. And again, the goal is to draft the selection of 15 teams that gets the most wins. And I say we keep it simple, just if you pick the NBA champion, you get 10 extra points at the end of that. I say we just keep it kind of simple for right now. And if you get a 1 seed, you get 5.
That's how we'll make it. If for some reason we're separated by a ton of wins, then if it's close, if we're 2 or 3 wins apart, then we'll let that be the decider. You know what I mean? But if you win by 10 or 15, then
yeah, you pick the NBA champion, you'll get it to extra 10 points. If you pick the first seed in either conference, you'll get 5. Let's go with something like that.
Let's do it.
Okay, cool.
All right, so real quick, before we start, I have a coin. You want heads or tails?
Okay,
and then I'll let you pick.
Tails never fails. We're going with tails.
All right. It is. I don't know if you can even see it.
Yeah. Tails?
Yep, you're good.
All right, beautiful.
So do you want first pick or you want to wrap around?
I want first pick.
All right, go and pick your Boston Celtics, you Celtics fan.
No, I'm picking the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not picking the Celtics. I'm picking the Thunder. I'm not gonna
Homer pick, man. People don't even got to comment fake comments now. They just comment the real thing, and it's gonna look like hate.
I mean, here's my thing. The Thunder are young. They're hungry. This is a team that will gun for the 1 seed, and everybody's picking them to be the 1 seed. If they're healthy, they will be the 1 seed in the Western Conference. I feel very, very comfortable saying that. They just were. They got a lot better. And a lot of other teams towards the top of the West got worse or now have question marks. Like Julius Randle is now Minnesota Timberwolf, which we're going to talk about that trade a little bit when one of us picks either Minnesota or the Knicks. So don't worry, we will discuss that as well. But yeah, I've got to go with my guys with the Thunder. I think they're going to win 60-plus games, or they have the opportunity to do so. And again, if they're going to be the 1 seed and the favorites in the Western Conference, they have a chance to win the championship. That can give me some bonus points too. So yeah. Plus, there was no way I was going to give you the first pick and not risk the chance of you picking the Thunder. I had to go ahead and grab them. So yeah, I'm taking OKC. You had to know I was going here.
Let's stay on brand, bro. Give me Philadelphia. Stay on brand.
Okay. Ryan's going Phil. Let's just do it. Let's be biased.
I mean, they got a lot better. I think the top of the East I think the East outside of like the 4 or 5 big hitters can get kind of weak towards the bottom. I think there's a lot of teams that are going to still be trying to find their identity, and they don't really have like I don't know. Like there's like the Bulls on the bottom. You have the Hornets. You still have the Wizards. You still have the Pistons. The Hawks got rid of DeJounte Murray. The Raptors are still kind of in this like lull. You know, I feel like there's a lot of bottom dweller potential in the East, and so I think the East is going to be kind of a gold mine for a lot of these wins. Whereas like kind of like what we saw last year with the West, how there was like 4 or 5 teams with like 45 to 50 wins, and they were all within like a couple, like the 2 and the 7 seed were barely separated. So I think you might see that again this year. So I think the East is going to be a good pick for wins. And, you know, I wasn't going to pick Philly first if I had the first pick, but because, you know, I get 2 picks now, I'm going to pick who I actually wanted to pick first. And that's going to be Boston.
That's fair.
But now I can say I picked the Sixers first, so I can kind of have that going. But I think Philly and Boston are 2 of the top 3 teams in the East. I have a feeling you might pick the other team I think is the top 3, but I had to pick my boys, and then I had to pick the team I think is going to be number 1, which is Boston. I just still think they're really built for the regular season. They're just top to bottom. Their starting lineup is by far the best in the NBA, still in my opinion, defending champ. So I think while you kind of like what you're saying, how OKC's up and coming, I think Boston's more established, and I think their floor is very, very low, and their ceiling is still 60+ wins. So I'm going to go Boston. I'm going to go New York Sixers.
I mean, their floor is high. Like
floor is high. Floor is high.
Yeah. You said floor low, and I was like, Ryan.
Floor is high. Sorry, the floor is very high. I think even if they have an injury-riddled year, they're still going to win 50 games. So
yeah, the Celtics. The only worry with them is the KP injury to begin the year, but it's still the Celtics. Like they're still going to win a bunch of games. I do think there's a world where they don't end up the 1 seed. It might not be the most realistic one. So I want to pick who I think has a shot at the 1 seed.
Yeah,
I'm picking the New York Knicks. I think this squad is so built to win like 60 regular season games.
They're very regular
around that.
Well, they're very regular season built. I feel like they're just like I don't know.
Yeah, I think they can have playoff success too, but for sure in the regular season, when you have a high caliber player like a Jalen Brunson, great defensive wings with OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, they added Cat, which that's a crazy trade to happen, by the way, this late in the offseason between 2 championship contending hopefuls that trade all-star All-NBA caliber players. I can't think of the last time we saw a deal like that happen at this point.
Well, the Damian Lillard trade was at this time last year, I guess.
It was, but like the Blazers were rebuilding. It's not like I can't think of a time when
it was compete. That's a good point. 2 teams that are trying to compete, both shaking up. That's a good point.
Yeah, 2 championship hopeful teams making a swap like that. I can't remember the last time that happened because like the first thing that came to mind was like Kawhi and DeMar being swapped, but the Spurs weren't contending at that point and definitely weren't going to be once they acquired DeRozan over Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah,
like it's crazy that this happened. It was shocking. And I think the Knicks got the better of the deal in terms of just who got better. We'll talk about the Wolves and a little bit the logic behind it with them. But Cat is going to provide elite spacing for this team. There's this stat and this specific graph that I'd seen a number of times throughout the offseason where the Knicks are one of the worst teams in the NBA pulling the opposing big away from the rim because Isaiah Hartenstein has shown an ability to shoot threes, but he was never really doing that over there in New York. And then it was Mitchell Robinson and like Randall is definitely a shooter, but he's not this crazy knockdown.
He also has a lot. I feel like he's also does a lot of work inside and mid range too. You know what I mean? Like
he's not prioritizing the outside.
Yeah.
So they weren't great at pulling opposing bigs away from the rim. Cat is going to make sure they're able to do that. It gives Jalen Brunson driving lanes. I think the Knicks, especially with a team that doesn't feel like they're going to be that injury prone, like Mikal Bridges never gets hurt. OG Anunoby's been pretty beat up now and then, but overall, I'm hopeful he'll be
Josh
okay.
Hart plays 45 a game.
Yeah, Josh Hart's invincible, seemingly. Jalen Brunson's pretty healthy. Cat was hurt this past season, but even with that injury, he's still played a good number of games.
Injuries with Cat, I feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not like he's got a lot of wear and tear. Like, oh, it's like a hamstring. It's like freak injuries. It feels like most part with Cat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm taking the Knicks. I think they have a chance to be the 1 seed in the East. And at the very worst, they'll be a 2 or a 3. I can't see them falling much lower than that because it's just such a stacked team. And then I want to go ahead and pick a squad that I'm lower on going into the season. But the more I just can't imagine them not being a high floor team because of who they have leading them. And that's the Denver Nuggets. I'm a little bit lower because they lost KCP. But even back when they had like Will Barton as the second option that season where Jamal Murray was hurt and Michael Porter Jr. got hurt, they still won like nearly 50 games. Like they were still a really good team. I just don't see a world where the Nuggets aren't one of the top 3-4 seeds in the Western Conference. And there is still that high level upside when you have Nikola Jokic on your team. So I think they've got a pretty high floor. They're not super injury prone. Again, it's all been freak injuries for the most part when they've lost players. So I'm going to take Denver as well.
Okay. I'm going to stick with my East plan.
Okay.
I want to go with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay. That's kind of a bold pick.
So the reason I'm picking Cleveland is just because I don't remember how many games exactly they won last year, but they still ended up being a relatively, because I think they won close to 50, right?
I think they might have won 49.
No, it was either right at 50 or right below.
48, I 48.
think. Okay. But I just think about how injured they were, and I feel like the year before they were kind of like a regular season kind of dog team. Like, I just feel like when healthy, they're a team that can win a lot of regular season games. They're not necessarily built for the playoffs, but when you have, Mitchell, Garland hopefully can, get back to form. You still have Mobley.
Be less bad this season.
Yeah. I just think there's no way they unless something crazy happens, there's no way they win less than what they won last year. So I'm banking on them being like a guaranteed 50 for me. So I'm going to go Cleveland for that.
That's fair. The Cavs, it was 51 in 2023. It was 48 this past season. They are consistently right around that 50 win mark. So that's a pretty good pickup.
And then my second team, I'm going to go with Dallas Mavericks.
Figured you'd go ahead with Dallas as well.
Luka's Luka's one of my favorite players. They're going to have a full season now with Kyrie and him under their belts. They're going to have Klay Thompson to the mix. Derek Lively is now a fixture. And PJ Washington for the full year. I just really like their squad. And they're another team where even if they don't really do well in the playoffs, I think they're going to tear it up in the regular season. They just have way too much talent to not do so. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to have a lot of fun games. And I'm going to go with them. And because I do think, I agree with you. I think OKC is going to be the consensus top pick in the West for most people. And I think that 2 through 6 range for the West is just so
all over the place.
Like, I feel like for the East, it's like, okay, these 6 or 7 teams are going to be in the playoff hunt. And then there's just like, maybe like the Hawks or Raptors will sneak into that 8th spot. Whereas for the West, it's like outside of like the Thunder, I don't know, man. Every team's got kind of flaws. Like, there's a lot of upside potential, but every team's just kind of like has their.
Yeah, the standings do feel wildly unpredictable in the Western Conference.
It's going to be fun when we make standings, man, because I have no freaking clue. I think
it is going to be fun.
It's going to be a couple darts are going to need to be thrown, especially for that Western Conference. So,
yeah.
Those are my picks.
Okay. Let's see. This is where it gets a little bit tougher because I feel like this is the Cav pick threw me off a little bit, but I figured these 6 were going to be kind of the first ones off the board. I think I'm going to go with Milwaukee.
I was between those 2 teams, and I just decided to go with my Doc Rivers hate. So.
The one
agenda hunting here
is Doc Rivers as the coach, which is a little bit worrying. But that's more so for playoffs. I still think regular season, when you have Giannis, you're going to be really good. Like, they won 49 games this past season, despite Dame having a pretty bad year and Chris Middleton dealing with injury and Brook Lopez is starting to regress. I do worry about Chris still being healthy because he had apparently double ankle surgery this summer, which is super concerning.
His lower extremities are beat up, man.
Dame. I'm banking on a big Dame bounce back, but there's always a chance that just doesn't come along. I think there's a world where the Bucks kind of fall into turmoil pretty quickly here within the next calendar year. But I think at the very least, they're going to be good for a lot of regular season wins. I'm just banking on a team that has one of the best players in the world in Giannis. Even if everybody else is hurt and struggling, Giannis can still will them to a good number of wins. So I'm going to take the Bucks there. And then it gets tough. I think I have to go Minnesota.
I thought about Minnesota for my West pick there. I thought about them.
I know Julius Randle, that whole thing is a little bit strange. I do think the Wolves are going to drop down the standings a spot or two. They were the
you think they're the 4 seed based on these picks? If we were going by that.
I mean, I don't think that's unrealistic.
Yeah.
I think there's a world where it is like the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Mavs, and the Timberwolves as the top 4 seeds in some order that feels pretty realistic. I mean, that would have been it last year if the Mavericks just hopped one spot up past the Clippers, who I don't think either of us expect to replicate that type of success this season. So I'm going to go with Minnesota. I do worry about how the Julius Randle thing is going to work. I worry about the spacing involved. I do like them adding Dante DiVincenzo, but I just feel like it's going to be some growing pains. I don't know how Ant is going to really get to his spot as much down low because Julius Randle likes to operate and kind of play bully ball. He's not nearly the three-point shooter that Towns is. Gobert is really good. He was really good this past season. He, of course, went depoy, but there is always room for regression. I worry a little bit about Mike Conley regressing because he's getting older. I think the Wolves are going to be really good, don't get me wrong, but I think they took a bit of a step back from where they were before the Karl Anthony Towns trade. Now, with the new CBA and how much Towns is going to end up making, I think long-term this is a move they had to go ahead and make, and it could be something that saves their championship window with Anthony Edwards. So I'm not saying the Wolves made a terrible mistake, but I do think in terms of right now, they're going to take a little bit of a step back, not win as many games, but they'll still be a 50-win team at the very least, if you ask me, unless things really go awry. So yeah, I'm going to continue to try stack up right around 50-win teams. I
do think it's really impressive that they were able to get an all-star caliber player and potentially save their financial flexibility, like all in one trade. I don't think people are giving them enough credit for that. And not to mention they got Dante DiVincenzo, who's going to be a 6th man of the year pick for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, Dante is going to be really good for them. He's got a really good contract as well. I'm excited to see how he fits into that team because they really do and have kind of lacked a lot of volume three-point shooting with that squad. Like Ant can knock down a lot of them, but he likes to, get downhill. He likes that mid-range jumper, maybe even a little bit too much. Cat is someone who's going to knock down a bunch of threes, but then McDaniels is a little bit hit or miss. Mike Conley shoots a great percentage, but doesn't shoot a ton of them. I think it'll add an interesting dynamic to their offense, and Randall's playmaking will be fun too. There is a world where the Wolves end up a little bit better, but I just think there's going to be growing pains throughout this season. And just in my personal opinion, I think they got a little bit worse.
Okay. All right, so my turn.
Yep.
I'm going to go with the Phoenix Suns.
All right, pretty solid pick.
I just think a team with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal can't be bad. So same kind of thing. I think I'm banking on them getting 45 to 50. And I do think there's some room for improvement. New coaching. Hopefully their roster looks a little bit different. They got what's his face running the point now?
Tyus.
They got who?
Tyus.
Yep. They got a point guard, which I think is going to be really helpful. Starting point guard per Tyus. I don't know if they've actually announced anything since media.
It seems likely. They posted a picture with the 5 of it was Tyus, Nurkic, and then the big 3. So it seems like that's the way they're going to go with their starting 5. Their games are going to be really fun.
They're defensively very sus.
If you like games that end 156 to 154 in
watch a Suns Mavericks game if you want to.
Watch just really any Suns game is kind of how it's going to be. It feels like.
Yeah, but I mean, just when you have Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, I feel like they're going to be decent. So I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, they won 49 this past year with injuries. And...
with that considered being a failure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, playoffs, who knows? But whatever. And then my next pick, I'm gonna go with Indiana Pacers.
I like that pick.
I do think I was between some of those teams in the middle for the East, but I do think the Pacers are more likely to replicate their success in Orlando per se. Not that I think Orlando's gonna be bad, but I just think the Pacers have a lot more talent and they're a lot deeper of a ball club and more complete. And I really like their offense. Their defense is hit or miss, but you never know. But I just like a full season of Siakam will be good for them. I think Tyrese Haliburton, I don't think was healthy for most of the year because there's no way he was.
Not. It was a big.
I think he's more the player we saw at the beginning of the year than the one we saw towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a fully healthy Tyrese, hopefully, and a full year of Siakam. I think the Pacers are gonna be a very, very solid team. I think they're really firmly in that 4, 5, 6 range in the East where they're gonna finish.
Yeah, the East is, we kind of know what 8 teams will be there, but the order is all over the place. Yeah. That's both conferences are going to be very interesting when we do this.
Not to mention they didn't have Benedict Mathurin for the end of the season too, and I think he's really solid.
Yeah. All right, this is where it's starting to get pretty tough. Now you got to kind of take some shots about who you think can.
Now I have a couple lottery picks per se. I might pick for value.
I'm going to go with the Memphis Grizzlies.
I like that. I still think they're going to be trash, or not trash. All right, let me phrase that. I don't think they're going to be trash.
Ryan hates the Memphis Grizzlies, which is crazy because he's always been a believer.
People out there saying they're going to win 55 games. I'm like, there's no freaking way. Wasn't it over under 50 something when we looked at it? It wasn't something kind of high.
Kind of around that. One of the big things that worries me is they're just never healthy. It feels like they've been.
Jaren Jackson, didn't they just say he's kind of hurt to start training camp too?
Yeah, he's hurt to start training camp. They have no worry about him being back before the start of the season, but that is still something popping up now is a little.
Him being back doesn't mean he's 100% though. So
yeah, Gigi Jackson dealing with an injury. Zach Edey dealt with multiple summer league injuries. Marcus Smart was really beat up last season. Desmond Bane. I do worry about this team's health. But this is really my big upside pick. upside.
Upside.
I think I was going to upside swing, and I went with upside pick. I'm swinging for the upside here. When you have John Morant at the helm, you've got Desmond Bane, you've got Jaren. Like the last time we saw the Grizzlies somewhat healthy, they were a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. Yeah. And with a West that has a lot of good teams, but feels like they could kind of rise through the ranks, a lot of teams have question marks. If the Grizzlies really click the way that they can, this could again be a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. So I'm going to take a swing here on them. At the very worst, maybe they deal with a bunch of injuries and this ends up a miss. But at this point, I feel more confident in them producing than some of these other teams. So I'm going to stick with Memphis. And then the question is, do I go to an East team? There's only one East team, or there's a couple of East teams left that I kind of like picking with Miami and Orlando, the two Florida
those
teams.
Were the two top dogs left for the East, in my opinion.
I'm going to go with Orlando.
I like it.
The KCP pickup, I think, will be big for them. Paolo, if he can take that superstar jump this season, they could really elevate themselves to stay up there towards the top 4 seeds in the Eastern Conference. Franz Wagner, if he can get his shot back, they've at the very least got an elite defense, and that gives you a great floor, in my opinion, when you're able to lock opposing teams up. As long as they can get a bit more juice offensively, this is going to be a really, really good team that I think has a ton of upside to disrupt those top 3 teams that we envision being at the top of the East with the Celtics, the Knicks, and the Sixers, at least in our opinions. If the Magic push their way up that way because they take a big jump, maybe they're not as good in terms of playoff success as those teams, but regular season, I think they could take a massive stride. So I'm going to stick with Orlando.
I'm with it. I like it. All right. I'm going to go with 2 Western Conference teams here.
Okay.
I want to start with the Los Angeles Lakers.
Okay. I figured you were going to take them.
I mean, you have LeBron and Anthony Davis. You're not going to be trash, I don't think. And I kind of like some of the other pieces they have around their roster. And then JJ Redick coaching. Yeah. According to Lakers fan, Darvin Ham was the second coming of the Antichrist. So hopefully having a new coach is going to solve
They will tell you that.
And they really did. Their rotations were so out of whack. And so hopefully the team under JJ Redick just has some more consistency. And I think they're going to still make a move. I don't think D'Lo ends the season there. I think they're going to have somebody else there as their third guy, but we'll see. But I don't really hate their roster is constructed. And I think they're going to be a solid. I mean, they'll be a 40 to 50 win team. I think pretty.
Yeah. And at this point, you can't, because there is great upside too with having LeBron and AD theoretically. Yeah. So I like that.
How wide open the West is. I'm not saying the Lakers are going to win the West, but if they ended up winning 55 games and won the West, I would have been you have LeBron and Anthony Davis, makes sense. So. And then
who's your second pick?
I'm gonna go with the Pelicans.
Okay. I was thinking you were gonna pick between them and the Kings.
Yeah, so I really like the Pelicans just because I know that you hate that they don't have a center.
I despise it. I
also don't like that, but I really like the other 4 players in their starting lineup. I think it's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. I really like the Ingram. I think the Murray trade made a lot of sense for them. I just think they were I don't know. They just needed a shakeup on that roster, and CJ running the point just clearly was not working. And so I like that. I mean, I think Ingram ended the year not healthy. It sucks that he and Zion missed, that series against the Thunder. I think that, not that I thought the Pelicans were going to beat the Thunder, but I think it could have been a lot more fun if they were
Zion being out broke them. Ingram was clearly not himself in that series. He might as well have not played. It felt
and then obviously Zion was hurt. So I do think they're going to need to figure out the center position, but I like the combination of Murray, CJ, Zion and Ingram. And then I'm a huge Trey Murphy fan because of, my UVA affiliation. And I just think he's really good. I think he's super underrated too. He's a guy that I could see if he got high volume playing time, I could see him being the next guy to get paid $150 million. I'm not even kidding.
A big breakout. I mean, the funny thing is 150 mil isn't even that crazy.
But just kind of like an OG Andrew type of guy where he just became this 3-and-D. He's not a superstar by any means, but he's
he gets that role player max that you see sometimes.
Yeah. So I can see Trey Murphy filling there. And then Herb Jones is awesome too. So I really like their versatility in the wing. I think they have a lot of variety ways of scoring with their current roster. I do think 3-point shooting could probably be a little bit better for their main guys, but I think having Trey Murphy, who is going to really help, I think he's going to have a huge role. But it'll be curious if they had a big man. I would kind of have them as a top 3 or 4 team in the West, in my opinion. If their big man situation was better.
They got to figure that out. They got to get somebody at some point. I imagine they will. Mm-hmm. I wonder if it's trading Brandon Ingram at some point because
I know you were so set on Brandon Ingram being gone to start the year.
I thought he was going to be gone, and now he's still here. And
I could have seen them getting a cat for Ingram, or some kind of swap like that. I don't know. I could have seen that.
Yeah, I'm curious to. Part of me wonders if it'll be I don't know if Ingram finishes the year on the roster. It's going to depend how the year is going. Also, with the Pelicans, it all just depends on if Zion is actually out there playing because we never know if he's going to be healthy or not. So we'll have to wait and see on Zion. I'm glad you took one of those teams because I was going to be between the Pelicans and Kings. I might take in both. I'm going to take the Kings here.
Yeah.
My main concern is that they were a play-in team this year, did not make the playoffs. I think DeRozan helps, but I don't know how much it helps overall with
I think it raises the floor, not the ceiling.
I still worry about them defensively quite a bit. DeRozan is going to be very fun on that offensive end, but when you have Sabonis and him out there, I worry a little bit about the spacing. Now, De'Aaron Fox took a big three-point jump. You have like Malik Monk who can knock him down, and Kevin Huerter.
He can't be worse than last year, you would hope.
What'd you say?
You said he can't be worse than he was last year, you would hope. He did not have a great year.
Yeah, it was not a great season from Kevin Huerter. So I do like that they have extra options to kind of space the floor. I worry a little bit about how their big three is going to necessarily operate, but I like Mike Brown as a coach. I think he'll find ways around that. He'll figure it out. This is a team that will be right there, in my opinion, in the play-in range. I don't see them as one of those top 4 seed contending teams like they were not this past season, but the year prior. So yeah, I'm excited to see what the Kings look like. I'm very, very interested to watch them with DeRozan, how it works out. And I do think there is upside for them to be one of those,
it's gonna be fun.
6-7 seed teams, which at this point is really all you can ask for.
I'm gonna put a hot take out there. I don't think they're really built for playoff success, but with the combination of DeRozan, Sabonis, and Fox, I could see them being a team that wins a lot of regular season games for no reason. Like they win like 50-something games, end up like the 2 seed, and they get upset by the Lakers in the first round. Like something like that. I could totally see that happen.
Kind of what they did that first season.
I know, but just like adding DeRozan, because it reminds me of like those Bulls teams, right? Where like they would look really good in the regular season. Like that one year where the Bulls were like a top seed, everyone's like, "What the heck? This isn't going to continue." I feel like DeRozan teams can sometimes that can happen. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there were multiple times with the Raptors. Like there was that one year where they set a franchise record for wins in 2018 with
DeRozan. Seems like he's a good regular season man, from what I can tell.
Hopefully, they get a better DeRozan in the playoffs than we usually see.
All right, who are you going with next?
I think I have to go with Miami here.
Yeah, I think Miami's the obvious pick there.
Yeah, they're a bona fide playoff team. If it's not the same 8 teams in the playoffs this year, or at least the top 8 seeds, not in the same order. But if it's not those same 8 teams that we saw going into the play-in tournament as the top 8 squads, I would be shocked. Now, with the play-in tournament, you never know. There could be something crazy where it's like Miami is the 8, and then they end up losing a game, and then they lose another one or something like that. But the Heat, Magic, Knicks, Bucks, Sixers, Celtics, Pacers, who am I forgetting? Knicks, Bucks, Magic, Heat, Sixers, Cavs, Pacers.
I agree. Those are the top 8.
Those 8 teams. I don't know why I can't count at the moment. So I have to go with Miami. I feel pretty good about them being in that top 8. I do think they're closer to the 8 seed. But when you have Jimmy, you've got Bam. Now we're going to have a full year, hopefully, of Terry Rozier with the team, although he continues to deal with that neck injury. It seems like that has been something that's just been lingering. You've got Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez. I like Khalil Ware, I like Haywood Highsmith. There are a lot of really interesting pieces on this Heat team.
Not to mention they were hurt a lot last year and still made the playoffs.
Yeah, they were pretty beat up. And when you have Eric Spoelstra, you're always going to have some level of success. Like last season, it felt like they were pretty rough, and they still won 46 games. So I'm going to go with Miami here. And yeah, it's back over to you for a couple of picks.
I actually was going to pick the Heat a little bit higher because I do think they're a really safe pick, but I was trying to go with some ceiling picks with like the Pelicans and Lakers and such.
Yeah, I think with this, you kind of have to take some swings because there's going to be something.
I do agree. The Heat's a very solid pick.
Yeah, that's just after, I feel like the Grizzlies, I took a bit more of a swing. Same with the Orlando. I had to go with something a bit more solid, I felt like, with the Heat.
Oh boy, this is where it starts getting kind of fun.
Yeah, it gets tough. There are some teams that have a chance to be pretty decent. I see one team I'd be very interested in taking here. I'm hoping you let them
East or West team.
It's a West team. Although I don't know if I want to tell you that because now you might take them.
I mean, I'm going to pick 2 West teams here, I think. Damn. I'm going to go San Antonio.
That's not who I was thinking, but that's very interesting. You're a big believer in the Wemby-Chris Paul duo. You're a big Harrison Barnes believer, perhaps.
I just think the Spurs are going to be that like I don't think they're going to be good, but who cares, man? Let's pick a vibes pick. It'd be so cool if I picked the Spurs and they win like 40 games or something like that. I'm just like, I had them. I don't know, dude. Second year Wemby. I saw that look in his eyes after they lost the Olympics. I think he's coming out with a vengeance. They have a point guard for once. Didn't they had a pretty good jump in wins from year before, right? Didn't they?
This year they won 22 games. It was I think like it's exactly 22.
Oh shoot! I thought it was a lot.
No, it was not that. They were a much better team.
They were better. I thought the results were a little better. But all right, That's probably a dumb pick. Who cares?
I don't think so. I think there's one of my potential hot takes is that Chris Paul leads the league in assists this season.
I know you're really up. I know that's been a thing you're harping on. I know.
Yeah, I think he's got the chance. I mean, like Wemby's he was so insane last year, and now he's got actually like a little bit more talent around him. I don't think the Spurs are going to be in the play-in, but if they were right there on the cusp, I'm not that surprised. And I mean, you might as well take a swing with the Spurs because if Wemby just becomes a top 5 player and just all of a sudden the Spurs are like really good because he's insane,
yeah,
this could be a steal of a pick.
I think the thing about the Spurs too is they've had good talent, but they haven't had like solidified NBA talent in a while. You know what I mean? Like not that Harrison Barnes and Chris Paul are things to write home about, but when was the last time the Spurs had like a rotation player that was like a vet dude? You know what I mean? Like Doug McDermott and Zach Collins, I felt like were like the last 2 guys that were like in that rotation solid that actually were like veteran NBA guys. Like guys like
it's been all kind of just youth recently, and they finally get some veterans in that I believe will help. I mean, a starting lineup theoretically of Chris Paul, Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, Sohan, and Victor Wembanyama. It's not bad. Like it's definitely not one of the better starting 5s.
And I like their bench too. I mean, you have Keldon Johnson coming off the bench. You still got Trey Jones.
Yeah.
Like I don't hate what they got going on there. So I'm gonna roll with that. And then I'm between 2 teams who lost a star player for my next pick.
That's fair.
Whose offseason did I hate the least? No.
Not Brooklyn?
I'm going to go with the Golden State Warriors.
That's fair.
I think Steph Curry is a little bit more reliable. I don't trust Kawhi's health. And if Kawhi somehow goes down and it's Harden and the boys, they could be hot ass. So I'm going to go with the Warriors just because I believe in Steph Curry. And while they didn't replace Klay's like star power, even though you can't even really call it that anymore because, you know, his year last year wasn't great, they do have a lot of young players, like which the Clippers don't. So there's a lot of opportunities for people to jump. You know, there's a chance for, you know, they have the Kuminga, they have the Moody, they have the Jackson Davis, they have Pods. They have a lot of young players that could take a jump. Mm-hmm. And for the Clippers, I don't think they really have the same potential.
There's not that same upside with young guys. Yeah,
I do think the Clippers could be the better team, but I do think the upside of the young guys, the Warriors, makes them a better pick. So I'm going to go with that.
That's fair. All right, for me, I'm going to take the Clippers.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and pick them up. There were basically kind of 4 teams I was looking at. You took 2 of them, so I'm going to take the other 2. Mm-hmm. The Clippers, I'm going to go ahead and grab them. I also don't really trust their health, and them losing as many games as possible is great for me because the Thunder.
I know there's like 2 agendas going on here with you. You have Thunder and Clippers.
I can't lose. I can't lose. Either the Thunder go ahead and get a great pick, or this maybe helps me win this draft here. But yeah, the Clippers, Harden and Kawhi plus the role players. I think they're still an okay team. I don't think they're great anymore. They're definitely not a championship contender. And the health, you know, you can never really rely on it. But the health usually, it pops up throughout the year, but typically becomes really bad towards the end of the season. So there is always a chance they rack up some regular season wins in the meantime until maybe things end up falling apart. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Clippers. I'm going to take the Houston Rockets. Yeah, that's my next pick.
I like that.
For them, they're just so solid all over the place. They don't have like that one guy yet to really lead them forward and take that jump. I've seen a lot of people say that Houston might be their jump team, but to be that jump team, you need that superstar player. When the Grizzlies took the jump, it was like John Morant raising up to an all-NBA level guy. When the Thunder took the jump last year, it was Shea, who was already all-NBA, but he elevated himself. And then they had the addition of Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams taking a jump. They had a lot of guys jump at that same moment, but they needed that one guy at the helm. Rockets just don't really have that yet. Now, Şengün is like a borderline all-star level big. Jalen Green had a great end to the season. But I need to see something concrete before I expect like the jump. But with the depth they have, the fact that they just have a really solid defense, Ime Udoka being a good coach, if the Rockets are a playoff team this year, I'm not that surprised. They would have to, in my opinion, get in through the play-in. I don't see them being beyond the top, or that 7 to 10 range. Yeah, they're not going to be top 6. But if the Rockets end up as a play-in team, especially because they haven't they didn't deal with that many injuries last year. You know, Tari Eason was hurt, but he should be back now. And I don't think I think that's going to linger. Şengün had an injury to end the season, but that was also kind of a freak thing. So they're young, they're hungry, they're relatively healthy, they're deep, they've got a good defense. It just feels like they've got a lot of elements that can make them one of the sneakier teams in the Western Conference. So I'm going to take the Houston Rockets here. And if they, take that kind of jump, they take that jump. And now here's where we get to the bottom of the barrel Eastern Conference teams.
I'm going to go with the Toronto Raptors.
Great pick. That would have been one of my first ones.
I think if any team is going to break that top 8 we were saying is untouchable, it's going to be the Raptors. Because full season of, they have RJ and Emmanuel, who both I think looked really good with the Raptors. You still have Scotty Barnes. So I think there's a chance for them to, make a little bit of a push. I think they're going to be definitely the best of the worst teams in the East. And I would not be surprised if they crack the top 8 somehow. I don't think they're going to be top 1 through 5, but if they're like the 7 or the 8,
yeah, man. It's one of those teams that has a lot of breakout potential. Like you said, I mean, RJ was great last season once he got there. Emmanuel quickly was great. Scotty can only continue to improve. You've got Jakob Poeltl there. I like a lot of what Grady Dick showed at the end of last season. And if he really comes into his own as that knockdown shooting wing with some defensive chops, he's really good, swing piece there. I agree. I like a lot of what the Raptors have going on there. I'm higher on them, I feel like, than a lot of other people are.
Now, this is where it gets fun. Scroll back down.
Yeah.
I think so many of these teams are going to be trash. I'm going to go Charlotte.
I do like Charlotte. I like Charlotte a lot.
I'm being a big Atlanta Hawks hater. I've told this to Connor. I think the Hawks have potential to be terrible. I think they could be really bad, potentially.
Ryan's not a believer in Zachary reset.
But, I mean, if LaMelo Ball stays healthy, like we saw how different of a team they were with a healthy LaMelo Ball. It's pretty much if LaMelo Ball stays healthy, this is a good pick. If he doesn't get healthy, they're going to win like 20 games, and this pick looks like trash. But I think that's pretty much what it is. But I mean, I do like some of their other pieces. I mean, they brought Bridges back. I mean,
Brandon Miller can have a crazy second.
Brandon Miller looks really good to end the year when he got more playing time because PJ Washington got out of there. Like
Mark Williams, if I'm a big believer if they're healthy. The problem is, are the Hornets going to be healthy? I tweeted this out actually the other day, and I might drop a video on them before the season starts. I like a lot of what they're building here. Brent Williams is an interesting depth piece. You've got Josh Green now over there. Trey Mann had some fun moments at the end of the season.
I do think they have a lot more depth than they've had in years because I feel like they were playing some crazy guys minutes. Like what was that guy's name? They were playing some guy at the end of the season that we bet on FanDuel and that won us a parlay. I don't remember his name, but it was like some guy. I'm
trying to remember who that.
I would know it as soon as I hear it. We're just it's Leaky Black. We're like, who is Leaky Black?
Leaky Black goat. That there was that one call. I think Eric Collins just goes Leaky after he hit a shot.
I love Eric Collins. It's so funny. Like you got Leaky Black. Like nothing against Leaky Black. He could be a good guy, but I just think they have a little bit better of a roster, and so I'm gonna roll with them.
I like the Hornets. I'm in on the Hornets this season. I think naturally that leads me to pick the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, they still Trae Young is the best player left in this group, probably. So.
Yeah, Jalen Johnson, I think will continue to come along in a big way. The defense could be a little bit better this season. I'm excited to see what Dyson Daniels could do. I've gone on record here that I'm not a big Clint Capella fan anymore. Maybe Okongwu kind of has that breakout season. They still have Quinn Snyder at the helm, who I believe is a good coach. Yeah, I think the Hawks have the chance to be that 9-spot team behind like the top 8 that we talked about. But there is always the threat of maybe the season goes really poorly and Trae Young gets traded, or maybe the season's going poorly and at the end of the year they're like, okay, we're just going to bottom out and get a pick. Those are things that I have concerns about, but I'm going to bet on the best player, like you said, that's left in this group and take Trae Young.
Yeah, my thing with the Hawks too is that they're missing Sadiq Bey for the whole year. DeAndre Hunter has been kind of like suspect, and even when he hasn't been hurt a lot. Hurt. He's been hurt. I mean, so it's just pretty much you're like, do you think that Trae Young, Bogdanovich, and Jalen Johnson's enough to lead you to wins? Is pretty much kind of what you got. And I think they have some good pieces. I'm just really low on them compared to a lot of the other teams. I don't know. You lose to DeJounte Murray and you're replacing with Dyson Daniels. Like, I don't know.
Dyson Daniels fan club, rise up. We're here.
He's fine, I guess. I don't know.
Dyson Daniels believers.
He's just the worst Ben Simmons.
We're not writing back to Ryan when Dyson Daniels rises up the ranks. I'm between a couple of. You know what?
You want to pick Detroit.
I do.
I was going to pick Detroit if you didn't pick them. They're my pick.
Give me the Detroit Pistons. They have to improve at some point, right? Like at some point they have to. My big thing as well is I was between them and the Bulls. With the Bulls, my worry is, they could trade Zach LaVine at some point. They could trade Nikola Vucevic at some point. And I think it's pretty clear the Bulls are going with this youth movement. They could bottom out at the end of the season. With the Pistons, I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they want to lose any more of their dignity, their integrity. They're going to do whatever they can to win games this season, even if they're towards the bottom of the standings. They're going to do what they can to show that they can be a winning franchise, or at least get back towards that way. I'm hopeful that Cade can have a big season. Jalen Duren can improve. Sar Thompson, the jumper's looking better in videos I've seen at training camp, but I mean, he shot.
You can never listen to the training camp videos, bro. I've seen.
And Ben Simmons' 3-point shot was looking kind of crazy. I've
seen Andre Drummond 3-point montages in the training camp, bro. We can't do that either.
It was looking a little bit better, although I guess there's hopefully no way he shoots worse than he did last season, which was under 20%. So yeah, I'm gonna buy into the Pistons a little bit. I don't think they're a playing team. I don't think they're good enough yet. But hey, man, maybe they put something together. Maybe it really was Monty Williams tanking this team last season. JB Bickerstaff will save them or something. So give me Detroit.
I mean, Cavs fans also said he was the Antichrist, so we'll see. But
every team hates their coach except a few. That's the way it kind of works in the NBA. Yeah. Among these franchises, Thunder fans like their coach. Knicks fans, I think Nuggets fans do. I don't think Bucks fans like Doc Rivers that much. Chris Finch, okay, maybe a little bit more. Taylor Jenkins is kind of liked. Okay, like every team that I've picked, they kind of like their coach.
You're basically picking every good team likes their coach.
That is true. That is kind of how it goes. Like Sixers fans like Nick Nurse. They like Joe Mazzulla. Celtics fans. Cavs fans, we don't know yet. We'll see.
They like whoever they got. They like him better than freaking Bickerstaff.
Jason Kidd's been very hated. I think they liked him more when they made the finals, but I think Mavs fans are still kind of hit or miss on him. I guess a lot of the teams that didn't like their coach fired him. Like, Frank Vogel's gone. Darvin Ham's gone. JB Bickerstaff, Cavs fans weren't a fan of him. Now he's gone, but he's a Detroit Piston. So
it's illegal to hate Popovich.
Yeah, Pop is still there. Pop's going to be there forever until he's 130.
Pop is going to die as their coach.
Hopefully not anytime soon.
No. Yeah, don't take that the wrong way.
Yeah, Ryan is putting out some – cut that – strike that from the record. Strike that. Make your picks.
I'm going to take the team with the best player left. Give me Utah.
Okay. Ryan says Lauri Markkanen is better than Nikola Vucevic. Hot take. And coming from a big Vucevic fan here.
I'm going to go Portland.
Portland. Wow. Okay.
So same idea that I had earlier with what team was the Spurs. Portland's got out of the 4 teams left. I like the young core of Portland the best. And so by that metric, I think they have the better chance of breaking out and being better.
That's fair. They do it like they.
Don't get me wrong, it's not going to be trash, but
they do still have Jeremy Grant. They do still have DeAndre and Robert Williams if he gets healthy. They have Donovan Clingan, Simons, Scoot.
I think will not get worse. Simons was hurt a lot of the last year.
Yeah.
So
Shaedon Sharp. They do have some interesting pieces over there in Portland. I think they're going to be the worst team in the Western Conference, but
good.
May not make them as bad as.
He was the last Western Conference team picked.
Yeah, I mean that might not make them worse than the Hornets, or not the Hornets, Nets or the Wizards. Sorry, I don't know why I accidentally.
I'm curious who you're going to lead me with because you get to pick 2 here. And
I'm for sure taking Chicago. Absolutely, I think the Nets and the Wizards are pretty clearly the worst 2 teams in the Eastern Conference. The question is, who do I take? Do I take the Nets or the Wizards?
I think there's a clear pick here. There's one team that at least has an all-star level player and one team where Ben Simmons might be their best player.
I was already leaning the Wizards. I think the Nets, I've gone on the record saying I think the Nets could win like 15 games this season.
Oh, yeah, I think so too.
They do have good depth, at least.
They're a team of role players, bro.
Yeah, maybe not good depth.
They got rid of their best one. That's the only difference. They've always been a team of role players. They just got rid of their best one.
But they still have like Cam Johnson. They've got Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Thomas, and some shot. I know it's a role players, Ron. I'm picking between potentially the 2 worst teams in the NBA. I'm trying to justify this. For the Wizards, they do still have Kyle Kuzma, who is the best player of these 2 teams.
Yeah,
they could maybe get a bit better from Jordan Poole. I'm a big believer in Valanciunas.
They made some deals.
They did grab Jonas. I think Jonas gets traded the second he can be traded.
You like Bilal?
Yeah, would you like Bilal? So, I'm going to go with the Wizards. Court Kispert's good. Yeah, give me that. They got Brogdon, who is probably trying to reclaim some of his
They actually have quality NBA players. I think the Wizards – I could see the Wizards being better than the Bulls, especially if they trade Levine and bottom out. I'm surprised there.
Yeah, so I'm taking – I was always going to take the Wizards, but you convinced me. And that means Ryan gets his favorite player, Ben Simmons, and the Brooklyn Nets to round it out.
Oh, the money is falling. I started with my favorite team, and then I ended with my least favorite player.
Yep, you went from the his old team. You're at one point when he was your guy to now the Brooklyn Nets revenge season. I mean, this might be huge. What if Ben Simmons is back to normal? Like who is it? Drew Hanlon, who said that he's going to be the best he's ever been. That he's back to all-star level.
He's also he's propaganda for everybody, bro. I don't want to hear it.
He is kind of propaganda, but okay. these are our rosters. I'm going to go ahead and read them off for any audio listeners, or, I'll just go ahead.
Or you're just blind and you're looking on YouTube, or you're like taking a shit and your phone is, I don't know. You can't see it.
Those are the only 3 reasons you would need me to read it off, apparently. But I have the Thunder, Knicks, Nuggets, Bucks, Timberwolves, Grizzlies, Magic, Kings, Heat, Clippers, Rockets, Hawks, Pistons, Bulls, and Wizards. And Ryan has the 76ers, the Celtics, the Cavaliers, the Mavs, the Suns, the Pacers, the Lakers, the Pelicans, the Spurs, Warriors, Raptors, Hornets, Jazz, Blazers, and Brooklyn Nets. How you feeling? How do you feel like your draft went?
I definitely picked for upside. I think people are going to pick you as the early favorite, but then when they see some of these teams end up being ass, they're going to come crawling back to Ryan.
I feel pretty good with how my draft came out. I think you're right. I think I will be probably the popular pick to win right off the bat. But I do worry about some of the upside with some of your picks. Like the Pelicans could really put it together. I'm down on the Warriors, but maybe they prove me wrong. The Lakers have that big upside. The Pacers, there's a chance that they're one of the more competitive teams in the Eastern Conference. Like they could get up to that top 4.
That's right. When your Grizzlies win 35 games and you're screwed, I don't want to hear it.
I do think there's also a world where the Sixers end up as the 1 seed. I feel a little bit less confident in that possibility now that Embiid basically said like, hey, I'm not really gunning for an all-star, all-NBA or anything. I just need to be healthy for the playoffs. It makes me think he's going to rest quite a bit. But
now you have Paul George. You have Paul George to take over versus it was the Tobias Harris show when he.
That is true. Oh, the Pistons. That's true. That's part of why I picked them. Tobias Harris. He's going to elevate them
for sure. Elevate them from 20 to 25 wins.
Hey. They didn't
even get elevation.
They didn't even get 20 wins last year, so that's more.
You got how many wins last year?
17.
All right, then they'll win 24 this year. They'll make the playoffs by 2027 at that rate.
They're still. Playoffs are playoffs eventually. The Kings had a longer drought. But yeah, these are our drafts. Let us know down below in the comments. What was your favorite pick? What was your least favorite pick? Who went too early? Who went too late? And who do you have winning right off the bat? We'll keep you posted on this throughout the season. And yeah, comment down below, like Ryan said earlier. Just lie about something. Say like, how did the Thunder go 6, or how did the Celtics go 8th, or something like that. To go ahead and just
pick the Wizards in round 2.
There you go. You could do something like that. We should have done. What would have made this also interesting if we had to do like playoff team and then non-playoff team. Like in your 2 picks, you could only pick a team that made the playoffs last year and one that didn't make the playoffs last year. That would have been interesting. Maybe we'll do that for like some other draft throughout the year.
I like that idea that picking one good and one bad. Maybe we'll do that for maybe we'll do like a mid-season like redemption one or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe we could do an update. Maybe if it's getting out of hand in favor of one person, we can do a run back. So we'll see. But for right now, that's all we have. Leave a like, subscribe if you're over on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, go ahead and download, rate 5 stars, all that stuff. And yeah, you got anything you want to wrap up with?
Please subscribe. I want to get 1,000 so people think I'm cool.
Yep, do it so Ryan can have people think he's cool.
They told me I wouldn't get into my doctor program if my podcast didn't have 1,000 subs.
Yeah, if you don't get us to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the season, Ryan will never become a doctor, and that's on your hands if you're not subscribed. Ryan just hit the puppy dog face. How can you say no to that? He will bring out our Labradoodle, and she will tell you to do it if we really are getting close, and you all haven't gotten.
I'm gonna really hold the dog here. Like, please sub for dog.
We will bring out the literal big dogs if you don't subscribe to us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we appreciate y'all. Take care. Peace.